In this video, we are at Brooklands Museum. We're holding our social here, the HubNut social. Really looking forward to that. That's tomorrow. We've come a day early, so we can actually have a nose around because we know we're going to be far too busy tomorrow. So let's go and see what's what. I think someone is quite excited. So it's a massive site here at Brooklands. You can see the clubhouse, the dome there in the background with a sort of a viewing assembly so you could watch the races going around. But there's an important aeronautical arm to Brooklands as well, so we're going to look at some nice planes. We will be going on Concorde. Over here we've got the Brooklands story that'll tell you about the place, but in short, the concrete banking, which we will go and look at, was built in 1907 and they were racing here until 1939 and the outbreak of the Second World War. But we're going to go over here where we've got a shed dedicated to the British Grand Prix, because the first British Grand Prix was held at Brooklands in 1926. So if we work our way in, oh, I need to mask up. In fact, I might do this bit as voiceover because I think that's going to be better. Are you ready, voiceover?
I'm very ready.
Then we shall begin.
So the very first British Grand Prix was held here in 1926, and this 1925 Halford Special, built on an Aston Martin chassis, was one of the first cars there. It was turbocharged very early on, but it's supercharged and raced in that form. We've got a Type 37 Bugatti and 1926 Delage. They didn't race there, they're just typical of the cars you'll find here from that era. Then there is a lineup of vehicles, and it sort of shows the evolution as they got bigger and then smaller. And this is a display dedicated to Innes Ireland, one of the famous racing drivers. But yeah, you look how tiny this little Cooper is. It really does show you how they got small and then started getting big again. So yeah, look at the size of those tyres, the evolution as we jump into the 1970s. This is a Jaguar sports car engine, not actually a Grand Prix engine, but an interesting car to look at anyway. Imagine the amount of air being sucked into those cylinders. It was used in sports car racing. And here we've got an iconic Honda powered McLaren, and you can get up close, and at times they allow you to get into these cars as well, and when they've got volunteers to supervise. This is a Formula E car, which kind of shows where motorsport is perhaps heading. Quite enjoy a bit of Formula E myself, and again it was out of action at this time because they were just booting up the computers, but this is a genuine McLaren Formula 1 car that you could use as a simulator. Heading to the other side, we've got the fastest legends, but also a surprising number of bicycles over here. So before we get to the fastest cars, some very elderly bicycles. This one hasn't even got pedals, and penny farthing, always good. So yeah, there's plenty to see here, and we haven't really even got started. But looking through the bicycles, we of course find some truly iconic bikes, including a rally chopper and the Sinclair C5, representing the modern era. And then we go into the motorcycles, and Norton here, complete with sleek looking sidecar.
So there's a very good display of motorbikes here, classic and vintage, but when you walk through into the car area, you encounter probably the most famous car here that belongs to the museum, the 24-litre Napier-Railton. So many of these cars were built around that time, huge aero engines. So it's 535 brake horsepower. And look at the springs on the back of it. And there's a great photo of it completely airborne going around this track. It managed to lap Brooklands at over 143 miles an hour. Crazy, crazy times. And it is fully running now. You can see the Goodwood Festival of Speed stickers building up on the side. I've seen this car run myself, and it's always impressive. So this is a very, very early Aston Martin, and wonderful condition. Built around a 16-valve engine from one of the 1922 Aston Martin Grand Prix cars. And yes, it's got this bodywork. It's known as Razor Blade, and apparently it took numerous class records here. and it looks like it's still in racing order today. That looks like a Goodwood noise thing. Took my Invacar has got one of those on, a record of how loud the engine is in testing. And then this remarkable thing, one of Malcolm Campbell's test models, try and test his aerodynamics. You reckon you'd fit in it?
Probably.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's currently taken.
Yeah. Oh, it might be a double.
Oh, it's 3 banks of 4. My assistant is ably demonstrating the how the engine works. So, bank of pistons, bank of pistons, bank of pistons. That's extraordinary. You will not often see a Railton Terraplane. Extraordinary car. It's got a 4.2 litre straight 8 engine. And even more remarkable, a front wheel drive Alvis. So there's some complication going on here. Nice little Morris 8 here, recently brought back into running condition by the volunteers here. They have a huge team of volunteers that look after the cars, the planes, the motorbikes, and try to keep as many as they can in running condition. Another Aston Martin here. It'll be the first stage of Aston Martin's long and very complicated life. Oh, now here's a very early car. A Peugeot voiture. Yeah, that's very early. I don't seem to know exactly how early it is, but clearly it passes for the London to Brighton run. We've got the radiator down the front here, the VAV face-to-face layout where the driver's actually sat at the back. Now here's an excellent model showing the Brooklands track as it was up to 1939. So we are currently in a shed about here, I think. There's the clubhouse, and we might be just there. Yes, I think we're in one of those. I'm just looking at the roof and we've got roof lights going on. So this is where the museum is today, and that's the finishing straight as it was known. And so that section is still there, and so is this banked section right here. So we're in the pits now, and look what we've got here, waiting for a race around the banking. No, probably not. We've got a Morris Minor, very late one on an H plate. That'll be 69, 70. Production ended not long after. And it's in British Caledonian Airways livery. So we've got a few vehicles that would have been used on airports. Over here we've got a Bedford HA. Yeah. Based on the HA Viva. This one's in BEA livery. And then more interestingly along here, I think, we've got a British Airways Ford Fiesta Mark III, and this is exactly the sort of thing that would just get thrown away and forgotten about. So it's great to see one preserved. It's even got the tyre pressure indicators on the side. Lovely condition. It is a tractor. It looks like they probably used that. It is a charade. Oh, Miss HubNut will be pleased. I don't think it's a museum exhibit. So quite nicely, they have an area where members and volunteers can bring their classic cars in to show them off. We've got a lovely Wolseley here. I sadly know very little about pre-war cars, but Wolseley did do a number of very small 6-cylinder engines. More modern Morgan here, little MGF that looks well travelled, and another Morgan, 66 plate, so that's pretty new. That'll be a 2016, I think, Morgan. Rover P6B, complete with a Continental spare wheel on the back. V8 engine, given away by that. Actually, that's on an XC plate. I have a feeling that might be an ex-factory car. They're quite significant, those plates. And then an R107 Mercedes-Benz, which is fitting because behind this is Mercedes-Benz World. And this is the iconic clubhouse, a fabulous looking building. So the clerk of the course would have been here, so dishing out punishments when you made an error, so you go there and plead your case. But yeah, wonderful space. They've got a nice chill out sort of area out here at the front, an old BMC Avgas truck to take aviation fuel out. But we're just going to come over here because we've got another one of the fun aspects of Brooklands is the Test Hill. So we're going to have a quick look at that. So this is Test Hill, where they would test their cars and then they had competition to see who could get up the hill fastest. And it just gets steeper and steeper and steeper as you near the top. I harbour a great dream to bring Tuck the Invercar here and see how she gets on. I think she will make it to the top. Do you reckon Tuck will make it?
Hell no.
Oh. Not everyone is quite so confident as me. I have been up there in an old Fraser Nash. It was a 1930s Fraser Nash, which did take off at the top. So that went up the hill quite nicely. I don't think I'm in any danger of doing that in Tuck. Oh, it's got the motorbikes running. The volunteers can bring vehicles here to test them, to see how they're functioning. I have no idea what sort of a motorbike that is, but very old, I would say. Right, this little MG M-Type is about to go for a little drive. Oh, listen to that. It's not got a fold-down windscreen, it's got a fold-down fly screen in front of the driver to keep the bugs out of your teeth. This is the road-going version of the M-Type Midget. So this is the origins of the MG Midget name, and you can see they're very well named. They are very, very dinky. And here she comes. Lovely. I can win, I can win, I can win. There we go. So you never know what's going to be out and about here when you come down the museum. So sometimes they get the Napier-Railton out, but absolutely lovely. Okay. Thank you. That one's going back on display again now. Wonderful. So we're going to go look around the aircraft hangars. There's Concorde. We'll be having a look around Concorde a bit later on. But yeah, that is shed goals right there. I could pack a few cars into that one. But we'll go and have a look at what's inside. This building, the acoustic building, has a genuine Concorde simulator, one of two, the only one currently functioning, and you can pay quite a lot of money to have a go on it. We won't be doing that because we haven't got quite a lot of money. It's also very, very booked up at the moment. But yeah, look at this lovely old truck here, an old AEC 6-wheeler. Excellent. Right, we're going to head into the aircraft factory, but it's going to be quite busy in there, so I think we'll engage the services of Mr. Voiceover again.
This is the Belmont hangar, which was actually built on the finishing straight in 1940 and then moved fairly recently, reopened in 2017 in its new location, and it is Grade 2 listed. This remarkable Wellington bomber is the centrepiece in this building, and it was found in Loch Ness when someone was trying to find the Loch Ness Monster. But there's lots of practical activities. Here we're folding bits of metal to make a little aeroplane, and plenty of volunteers on hand to show you how it's done. So this is using the bender to put some bends in the metal, and we're going to produce a little aluminium aeroplane. And then the final stage is using this pneumatic press to attach the rivets. And here we go. And Mini HubNut will get ready to press the button, and all manner of pachu noises go off, and your rivets are squashed into place. And there we go. Mini HubNut had made his own little aeroplane. This is a propeller demonstration, so it's just demonstrating how you can alter the pitch of propellers to change which way they blow. So you haven't got to stop and turn it the other way. You can just adjust the pitch, and it'll either pull air towards it or push it back the other way. I do love practical demonstrations in a museum setting. It just engages people in a way just static objects don't. So this is just a view from higher up in the gallery. There's a Harrier jump jet and some amazing models. Back to the live action.
So what's in the next building? Oh look, there's a Saab 900 down there with headlamp wipers.
Don't need any more Saab.
Yeah, but a Saab's fitting because Saab used to make aeroplanes as well. They used to make actual aeroplanes.
Oh, hurricane.
Wow. Let's go around the one-way system then.
Very leaky.
Yeah, so Hawker Hurricane is the unsung hero of World War II. Spitfire is so much more famous, but the Hawker Hurricane just as important, if not more so. There we go. Route Master, the London Bus Museum is also based here. We haven't had a chance to look around there yet, but you do get to have a ride on some proper old London buses. But yeah, you'll note we are here at Concorde. It's truly remarkable aircraft. This one was used for sales purposes. This is the first one built, so this was the one they used to try and sell Concorde to airlines, but it didn't really work, and they didn't really manage to sell any. And British Airways and their French equivalent, Air France, were kind of forced to buy some after all the development money that went into these things. So we've got 4 huge Rolls-Royce Olympus jets at the back, this nose cone which came up to enable them to go truly supersonic. Absolutely remarkable. And we're about to go on our tour. See the clamshell buckets on the back, that one's set for reverse thrust. But yeah, historic moment, we are going on a Concorde. Oh, it's alright for you, you don't have to duck.
So here we are inside Concorde, taking in the information displays. You can see just how small it actually is in here. I could only stand up right in the middle. And these are liveries that never saw Concorde action.
So how does it feel to be aboard Concorde?
Very good, very good.
Yeah, an interesting experience. Wasn't expecting it to be quite like that. We should tell you more outside. There we go. There's where it all happened. 2 pilots and a flight engineer. That's a lot of buttons. And there we go. A view of Concorde you don't often get.
What's that? No, that's true.
At the height from up here, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. So was that enjoyable, Mr. Man?
Yep, I've been on Concorde with my own mother.
Yeah. Well, she missed out. She could have come today. She's busy with other family things, but yeah, that was Concorde. That was amazing. I really wasn't expecting the experience. You actually sit down, and I guess they use subs or something, so you get the feeling. You can feel the cat's eyes going down the runway. That was, yeah, much more experience than I expected, to be honest. I really enjoyed it. Well, there's still an awful lot to see here that we haven't managed to show you yet, like this Alexander bodied Leyland Atlantean, this lovely DAF recovery wagon, this amazing bus which would have ferried people out to planes at Heathrow, I imagine. A slightly strange design. A lovely Bedford CA van, very cute. Oh yeah, loads to see. There's loads of planes over there we haven't got anywhere near yet as well, and they're very interesting. And so much history as well. 30% of this fuselage was built here at Brooklands. They used to make planes here, and it was shipped here in 5 sections from Filton after its last flight. In fact, I think this one stopped flying in 1981, having been used to train all of the pilots and the flight engineers. And you can see why they needed so much training when you look at all those controls in the cockpit. It's just extraordinary. So yeah, that was amazing.
Get sucked into there when you're dead.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. So there's all sorts of flaps in these engine intakes to slow down the air from 1300 miles an hour to 500, so the engines still work. And when they refitted all the parts, they didn't actually refit this engine, so this engine is out of this aircraft. It lives in that bay there, but when they reassembled it here in the early 2000s, they left this engine out, so you can see what they're about. I don't really know what any of it does though.
Air goes in, air comes out.
Yeah, pretty much. And you've got the afterburners in the back here as well. They were the real secret of making this go supersonic. What an experience. Right, we better look around the rest of the museum, I guess. So this is a McLaren display, driven by design. We are in the balloon hangar at the moment. We've got the original prototype car here, and this is a concept car, mostly made out of wooden things apparently, built for the 2019 Geneva Car Show. But it has caused quite excitement on the small boy scale, I think, hasn't it, this one? It's gone down very well. Well, it even says prototype on the dashboard, so it must be official. Some pantograph wiper action going on there. That's good to see. I haven't actually told you what they are really, but because they're supercars and I don't fully understand. But look at this Lego McLaren 720S. It is genuinely made up of individual blocks of Lego. I'm told this is now glued to stop people nicking bricks, but hugely impressive. Oh yeah, the McLaren Senna, that was it. Quite important in the history of cars generally, really. Old Ayrton Senna. In this shed, two very different vehicles, both of which have flown across the Atlantic, and full of admiration for people flying over in that one, although the Harrier jump jet here is also quite impressive. So this did it, the Harrier, in 5 hours 57 minutes, and the Curtis NC4 there was the first one to do it in 10 days, and a Sopwith tried doing it and crashed after 15 hours. And trying to work out which one this is. I think this is the Vickers Vimy, the first non-stop flight across the Atlantic, 15 hours. Concorde has done it in 2 hours and 53.
That's the fastest time.
Yeah, I suspect some military planes have done it quicker since. I have a feeling an SR-71 Blackbird once did the Atlantic crossing in a very short amount of time. But we're going to go back to the aircraft factory and flight shed. So one thing we haven't discussed is the fact that this building used to be here. That's where the corner of it was. It was here, the Bellman hangar, from 1940 until 2016. So the last time I came to this site, that building was here. Because airplane production was absolutely the priority. So motor racing ceased in 1939, building aircraft very much what needed to be done. So they built the Bellman hangar here, and that would go on, and they would produce all sorts in there, including those sections of Concorde. So it really did have a very long life. And Motorsport never returned here. Motorsport went to other places, airfields that would then repurposed for racing, Silverstone being one of them, Brands Hatch, Donington Park and many others. But yeah, motor racing would never come here. By this stage I think the banking was already in a fairly poor state. So this is the finishing straight. Tomorrow that will be full of Cosworths, whereas we as HubNut are going to be taking over all this area around to the aeroplane, so that's going to be rather good fun. Looking forward to that. But yeah, they did move an entire building and it cost £8 million, and one of the things was the lottery that funded that move insisted there was an educational element to that money. We weren't just going to give it just to move a building, and that's why you can now do things like make little aeroplanes, and so certainly Mini HubNut has really loved all that they've got going on in there.
Mission accomplished. After a bit of a lengthy wait, we did actually manage to get Mini HubNut in the Harrier jump jet. I think they open up different jets at different times, but yeah, you get an experience you're unlikely to get anywhere else, and he really enjoyed it. In this imposing structure is the Stratosphere Chamber. This is where you could, that's just the door by the way, where you could replicate high altitude conditions, extremes of temperature, in order to test large components of aeroplanes, clothing, whatever you needed to test in extreme conditions. You could do it here. It was built in the late 1940s under the orders of Barnes Wallis of bouncing bomb fame, and yeah, it's just extraordinary the lengths they went to. This was operational from 1951 until 1982, with aircraft production at Brooklands finally coming to an end in 1987. But yeah, there's a huge lump of plane as it would have been tested, because you obviously got to test all the functionality, and you could do so in this enormous chamber.
And finally, I am on the banking. After all, this is kind of why we're here. This is why Brooklands exists. It's because it was a motorsport venue. Cars thundering around here at an average of 140 miles an hour in the case of that Napier-Railton. Beggars belief. The angle is extreme. Excuse the legs, but that's how much bend I've got in that knee to remain upright, and I'm not even on the steepest section. But yeah, it's slightly harrowing to think of how many cars just went over the top, and yeah, many people were killed here. Motorsport in those early days was so very dangerous. But yeah, it's a great spot to survey the site. We've got London Bus Museum here, the air hangars and the aeroplanes over there, and a Mini HubNut, who is frankly bored and wants me to go home now. He's done very well. It's been a very long day, but yeah, an astonishing place, an astonishing venue as well. We're going to have to come back and have more of a look around, because we haven't seen everything today, and we have been here all day. So it's yeah, place well worth a visit. So go and check out Brooklands Museum if you weren't able to make the social. But yeah, we need to go home and get ready for that, because that's tomorrow, and it should be good fun. There will be a separate video about that. You probably saw that first, to be fair, and this probably came out afterwards. But we're going to go now. So as I say, thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you in a future video. Farewell.